Space Badger here, and today I am going to record my review for Kingdom Manga Chapter 589. And let's jump straight in. I'm sorry I'm sunburnt. I'm sorry the hair's a mess. I'm sorry it's so weirdly lighted. It's dark here. It's all gone. It's been a long day, but I need to get this video out because to maintain the YouTube algorithm, that's why I'm doing it. But I also want to give you some Kingdom content, so let's do this. So we jump straight into the chapter with a flashback to 14 days earlier, and the guys talking about filtering the villagers in from all the neighboring villages around Gyo that we left off from the previous chapter, are showing basically how the Quinn guys infiltrated Gyo and seeing how they were coming in on stretchers, covered in bandages, and concealing their identities as one of the wounded from the villagers that were made refugees, ironically, by the Quinn army. So it's very cleverly done, and we get some very good shots of them actually getting into the city and passing the gates of the refugee border patrols, and gentlemen smirking and laughing to themselves, having successfully infiltrated the target that is Gyo. So then we jump back to the present and we got some guards running along. So what they've done, those same Quinn infiltrators, is that they have managed to break into either armories or rob those of the Zhao natives and get some wear that makes them cloaked or concealed as part of the Zhao Gyo patrols and or military teams, and they're trying to locate and identify all the food storerooms, or rather the major food stores within Gyo that's currently sustaining the population of the city. And they're talking amongst themselves in re-stipulating the fact that it's at this point extremely likely they're going to be killed because there's a very small number of them. I think I count something like about 8 or 9 in this infiltration unit that's only responsible for burning one of the stores. So, I mean, you're talking about probably at most 50, 60, maybe 100 men, but unlikely, who have managed to get into Gyo as a part of this strategy to infiltrate it and be sent basically to their deaths to eliminate or significantly cripple the Zhao base that Quinn is ultimately trying to take over. Then we jump into a lord who is clearly either a mayor or some kind of representative for current leadership positions in the cities. I don't think we've seen him before. I certainly don't remember him, and he's not referred to by name, at least not in this initial scene. He's just woken up by one of the messengers around the city, who is, of course, terrified and livid at the fact that all of these food stores across Gyo have gone up in flames, and he's freaking out, and of course he's trying to understand the report, and initially it's only stated that it's the eastern granary, although that is one of the largest, but it can't be extinguished already because the fire's got out of control. And then he very quickly gets the report that all 3 other major directional stores, i.e. north, south, east, and west, have also had their food stores attacked. So that's no good, and it kind of dawns on him what has happened and the actual severity of the situation and how stuffed it is. And he says that all 4 of our large storerooms have been set on fire, and it kind of basically dawns in real shock and horror upon the sort of select number of councilmen who are in presence with this lord, how boned Gyo now is, or specifically Zhao's current base of military strength that they are trying to hold and protect. So initially he estimates that it's half his food stores, but he's actually concerned it might be more than half, just because of the sheer volume of people that they have, and already the fact that they've maneuvered a lot of the grain or the food supplies into those major large stores as a form of controlling the dispersal of those foods across the ever-growing refugee population of Gyo that are all representatives of Zhao. God, that's difficult to say, but I think I'm getting there. I mean, please correct me in the comments below if I'm getting any pronunciations wrong. I probably am butchering them, but it sounds rightish, I hope. God forbid when we get into some of the more complicated cities, I'm sure that we're going to get introduced into the series as we go on. But anyway, let's focus back on the chapter. just how many more days left of food? This is what the Lord ultimately ends this scene with the question that he asks, because, man, like, okay, we know Quinn's armies are on day 12 or 14 and that they're basically out of food anyway. So, I mean, if these guys have any food at all, you've got to think they're still in a position of might. But yeah, I imagine this might unfold in some other way as well that further devastates Gao. I'm not sure yet. Anyway, outside we've got the Kanki guys who are spying on the city, who have recognized and realized that the fire is set on smoke, and obviously this piques their interest. And one of Kanki's generals runs back to inform him, and we get a great scene just with Kanki looking us in the eye and saying those fucking slowpokes sure took their sweet time. Of course, implying that he knew about Orsen's plan all along to attack the food granaries, or at least Kanki suspected that Orsen had a plan like this up his sleeve, and of course reacts to it with the same appropriate badassness that at this point we are very much used to Kanki displaying under all scenarios when dealing in these major conflicts. So then we get the narrator talking to us, saying it would take 1 day for news of tonight's events to reach that place, a la the battlefield, the Shukai Plains, and of course the impact I'm sure it is also subsequently going to have on morale for the Zhao troops, inevitably. So day 14, we're there. I think we're on the final day of the battle now. Early morning, this day would mark the day of the fiercest combat in the experience by the Quinn's right wing, which of course now Shin has formally been made the commanding general of that flank. And we get very intense shots, of course, of Caro 10, who is, of course, basically internally monologuing about how stressed she is about having such huge responsibility now for the lives of men, and specifically the operation as a whole, because now she is one of 3 cognitive pieces with sole responsibility to manage the men of this battalion across this entire flank, and she knows if she messes this up, everyone's dead. But also in good Shin growth moment, recognizing this almost imminently in her as one tendencies to do, and starts to have a little bit of fun at her expense, which snaps her out of it and makes her, of course, see sense in terms of initially having support from her commander. And then we get probably the best scene of the chapter, which is Caro 10 walking over and literally just grabbing 10's boobs. Sorry, Kyokai grabbing 10's boobs just to snap her out of it, because she responds with a slap because she's so sort of overtly shocked by this act that is so out of character, which of course she did deliberately to snap her out of her own anxiety regarding the upcoming battle. She says, you'll only end up hesitating and making the wrong decisions if you're thinking that of too grand a scale or in such an over analytical detail. Just focus on moving and influencing this war and this battle as you would any other. The scale doesn't matter, because the scale has always been big, but what it hopes, with the scale being this much bigger, nothing changes from past events and experiences. So she thanks them both for everything they've done and the courage and the convictions that they have managed to instill in her by both being the wonderful characters that Shin and Kyokai are. And then finally, we get the final scene, which is, I always get this guy's name wrong. Is it Gayu? I think, yeah. The general of Zhao for the supposedly left wing, who of course clashed and defeated Orhon in the couple of chapters ago now, overlooking and saying, this is the end of Quinn, because on this day it marks the final battle, because he is going to finish it. So ominous stuff, nothing particularly surprising really, just sort of seeing the final sort of aspects of Orsen's infiltration plan go into and take effect, and devastating Giao as a result, and the citizens of Zhao that live therein, or at least temporarily. Probably what's also most interesting is some of the perspectives we get, and the which I've been banging on for the last couple of chapters now, just good character development across the kind of big three of the High Shin unit now. So yeah, good stuff, good chapter. Nothing great, but good stuff. 2.53, but you know, now things will seriously ramp up, and we're gonna, I imagine, see the fullness of Ursun's plan to defeat Zhao unfold, as well as seeing obviously the culmination and completion of that right-wing battle with Shin, Karutan, and Kyokai are in responsibility for now, for as far as Quinn is concerned. So yeah, that's it. That's everything I had to say. It's only a short review this week, but the chapter doesn't warrant much else. Like, comment, subscribe, you know the deal. Push the big red button, turn on and or off notifications. I don't care, I just want the subs at this point. But if you like my content, that's even better. And if you really like my content, like my video and comment below, and let's talk Kingdom. I'm loving the fact that Kingdom's getting so much traffic on this channel. I love this series. I mean, it is skyrocketing, and some, you know, weeks a week for me now, this is probably as good, if not better, than One Piece. I have a longer standing history with One Piece, but Kingdom is right there, man. And like, just doing these videos week to week is making me appreciate how deep it is. Even going away and starting to read more about the warring states of Edo. And I'm going to do a whole video on that some point in the next few weeks, I'm sure. I'll do not anything spoilers, but certainly maybe discussing a bit about the relationship between the true events that took place in the 500 years of war in China, and sort of the ages around 270 to 220 BC, which is actually what the plot of the manga takes events over. So not the actual 500 years period, but the 50 years of which China was unified. And yeah, maybe just talking a bit about some of the characters and the relationships and the comparisons to real life guys. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, if you'd like maybe some series of videos, I was also thinking about doing comparisons between the real life generals and leaders on which the main characters of Kingdom are based, and talking some of those parallels and potentially setups and theories for them. I will try not to be too spoilery, or if I'm really going to talk spoilery if I ever get to Lin Zhang, who is of course the influence or the inspiration for Shin's character. I'll have to spoiler the hell out of that one, but yeah, tell me what you think. What Kingdom content would you like me to do? Because there's so much I can do with this series going forward, and there's so much that I want to talk to you about. So yeah, get commenting, get discussing, and I'll get creating. All right, peace.